Planetary retrogrades are one of the most feared astrological events, which is not good given the fact that they happen a lot. People do not understand retrogrades in general, and this lack of understanding is compounded by the heaps and heaps of misinformation out there about the various retrogrades from so-called experts, and that is why today I'm going to explain to you what is really happening during a planetary retrograde and what to do about it. Technically speaking, a planetary retrograde is an optical illusion that happens when a planet appears to be moving backwards from Earth's perspective. A planet appears to move backward when Earth passes a slower moving planet or is passed by a faster moving one, and the length of the retrograde varies greatly based on the specific retrograde that is occurring. Does a retrograde have an energetic effect despite the fact that it is in essence an illusion? The answer is yes. Planetary energies absolutely have a very big influence on us, and this includes retrogrades. The reason that people fear retrogrades so much is because they are seen as, and to be quite honest, feel like, oppositional forces. For example, when a retrograde is occurring in Mercury, the planet of communication and travel, communication breakdowns and travel disruptions tend to bubble to the surface. If you really need to get somewhere, or if you're in a relationship and can only avoid conflict with good communication, it can feel like the universe is manipulating the planets against you. Basically, most people have an association with retrogrades wreaking absolute havoc in their lives. And there are a lot of experts out there who have littered the human mental field with things that cause people to fear retrogrades. A lot of things that are quite frankly not true. Things like never ever start a new relationship during a Venus retrograde, or a Mercury retrograde is a terrible time to start projects, and make sure you do not invest in anything or sign any contracts. Or you can expect aggression and conflict during a Mars retrograde. Or never make a big decision during any retrogrades or you'll regret it once the planet turns direct. I'm sure you've heard some of these things, right? There are so many of these warnings and cautions thrown around that it can feel like in order to be okay in your life, you've got to run and perfectly execute some kind of cosmic ninja warrior obstacle course. Which, let's face it, no one is going to be able to do, and on top of this, very few people are an expert in astrology, and most people in the world have absolutely no clue what the hell is happening with the stars. So, what is the average Joe to do? Okay, so the answer is don't fear retrogrades. Instead, you want to grab the bull by the horns and get in the driver's seat with each one by understanding what is happening energetically when a retrograde of any kind occurs. It is one hell of a time to level up. A retrograde is the medicine of retrospective. It sucks your awareness back to what needs to be seen and consciously decided upon. Retrogrades force you to look back, to revisit, to review, to reevaluate, to redo, to resolve the unresolved, to let go of what must be let go of, to end what needs to end, to start what needs to start, to revive what must be revived, and finish any unfinished business related to the themes that are governed by the planet that is in retrograde. They're like spring cleaning events. But when the spring cleaning process is being forced on us, even if it is for us, it often feels like the past is rearing its head again, or like unwanted things are surfacing, or like pain is being dredged up, or like we're taking a step backwards. It might be helpful to think of the analogy of yourself carrying all kinds of things from the past with you while you walk down the path of expansion. Some of these things are really beneficial to you, and some of these things are really not. These things are in a backpack, and while you know some of what is inside of that backpack, you've also forgotten a lot of what is inside of that backpack. A retrograde forces the contents out of the backpack and into your awareness. You are meant to look directly at whatever surfaces, and to consciously evaluate it and decide with your free will what to do with it, just like you would do if you were spring cleaning your life. Each object is picked up, is looked at, and is decided upon. A retrograde is a very specific kind of planetary medicine, not an oppositional force. And remember, not all things that are of the past are things which are detrimental and must be let go of. There's also gold there too, which will be brought to your attention too during a retrograde, so that you can re-own it. Another way to make it very simple is to say that a retrograde offers a do-over. The question is, with the medicine of retrospect, what would you do differently if you were given the opportunity of a do-over? In line with this, a retrograde is a fabulous time to deal with regrets, to contemplate what you are regretting and figure out how you want to change things based on whatever you are regretting. To generalize, when a retrograde involves us on Earth passing a slower planet, we're being asked to leave things behind. And when it involves a planet moving faster than us on Earth, we're especially being asked to catch up to our expansion. Go faster, quicker. Both are meant to move stagnant energy. Both are meant to bring us into greater alignment. Both are meant to clear what is preventing our progress. It's just that one energy is particularly propelling. It calls you to speed up and puts great pressure on what from the past is acting like an anchor preventing forward movement, while the other is particularly purgative. It calls you to slow down, if not to stop, so as to reflect and reevaluate. It puts great pressure on things from the past that are out of alignment, weighing you down and holding you out of the vibrational range of what it is that you are wanting and needing most. Remember that a retrograde is specific to the planetary energy that is in retrograde. So let's say that Venus is in retrograde. Venus relates to the energy of love and relationships. This means a Venus retrograde will bring retrospective in the sector of love and relationships. You will be made aware of the baggage that you are carrying relative to love and relationships. And spring cleaning will be forced in this sector of your life. You will get a do-over in that sector. So, let's look at Gavin. Let's say that Venus goes retrograde and that it is going faster than Earth. This will put pressure on Gavin to speed up in the area of relationships. This will put pressure on what is anchoring him and preventing his movement forward in the area of love and relationships. So let's say that Gavin is wanting deep and committed romantic relationship. But let's say that he is totally unaware that years ago he decided to protect himself from getting hurt in relationships by rejecting people and pushing them away before they have a chance to reject him and push him away. Oh no. During this retrograde, Gavin is lying in bed with his girlfriend, and she confronts him about why he has been dragging his feet about finding them an apartment to live in together. All of his fears of getting even more attached, even more committed, only to find himself getting rejected and abandoned, are what has been preventing him from doing this. He has not been caretaking this fear and the emotional traumas that are underneath it. So he slips right back into his protection pattern and tells her, I don't know, maybe I'm just not ready for that step yet. I don't know if what I really want is the whole escalator of relationships thing, move in, get married, have kids, etc. Needless to say, this causes a massive rupture in Gavin's relationship. What the retrograde is doing is forcing retrospection. It is putting great pressure on what from the past is acting like an anchor, preventing his forward movement, which just so happens to be his trauma of being rejected and being pushed away, as well as the adaptation that he made to that trauma, which was to reject and push others away first. It's inviting Gavin to spring clean himself in his life relative to love and relationships. It's giving him a do-over, as if the universe is saying, Gavin, are we going to do the same thing again by pushing people away before they push us away? Or are we going to see that this pattern destroys relationships and goes completely against the exact thing that you're wanting and needing most? We're going to make a different choice this time? It's a misnomer that a retrograde is a bad time to start something new, such as a new relationship or a new project or a new decision. The reason being that retrogrades are really about shaking things up and changing patterns so that you can come into alignment with the help of the medicine of retrospective. So, let's say that a person is in a chronic pattern of apathy. The retrograde is likely to put a very big spotlight on this pattern of apathy. And so, it would absolutely serve a person to do shadow work and to make a bold, new move during the retrograde that is in alignment with being active rather than passive, regardless of what the astrologers are saying. So let's say that a retrograde makes a person aware that they keep having one-night stands because they're terrified of losing someone that they are committed to. So they'd rather, quite frankly, not be committed. But imagine that this person desperately wants a deep, lifelong relationship. Okay, well, a retrograde would be a perfect time for a do-over, where this time, rather than continue with one-night stands, they commit to a new relationship with one person and start building a partnership there. Again, regardless of what the astrologers are telling you about never start a new relationship. The best energy to meet a retrograde with is active engagement, rather than being passive with the attitude of it happening to you. You want to meet it head on and get on top of it instead. This means understand the themes and life sectors that the specific retrograde applies to, so that you are open and responsive to whatever arises. And when it does, because you know what is happening, actively engage by asking yourself what needs to be seen and consciously decided upon. What does this mean? It means you want to look back, revisit, review, reevaluate, redo, resolve the unresolved, let go of what you have to let go of, end what needs to end, start what needs to start, revive what must be revived, and finish any unfinished business related to the themes that are governed by the planet that is in retrograde. Treat this like an opportunity for a do-over, or a serious cleaning process, a spring cleaning process. The medicine of retrospective is so profound. You've heard the saying, hindsight is 20/20. This saying means that a situation is easier to see and understand in hindsight when you're looking back on it, as opposed to when you are in the confusion and the lack of clarity that often occurs in the moment when you're in the midst of the situation. Retrospection affords us the opportunity to become aware and to make conscious choices that keep us in alignment with continuous improvement. A retrograde causes serious movement. After all, sometimes pulling something back moves it forward even faster. Have a good week.